Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the All Star Wrestling Review Series for the 14th of July, 1979. And we continue with our foray through All Star Wrestling, which is a derivative of what later became Superstars or Challenge or one of the syndicated programs. Before that, we had Championship Wrestling and All Star Wrestling. But this is the 14th of July, hosted by Vince McMahon, Bruno Sammartino. Ted DiBiase fights Jimmy Valiant with Captain Lou Albano. Time limit draw prior to the bout. Albano briefly brings out a Siberian Husky to ringside. Why we did that, we do not know. Bruno Sammartino interviews DiBiase at ringside, where DiBiase talks at great length, or at least medium length, about the idea of being able to, get all of the North American Championship back. Really basic match, but a good role for DiBiase nonetheless. Valiant is a pretty big deal here, and the other Valiants on the outside of the ring, pretty big deal here. DiBiase being a guy who they're trying to push. Valiant's bailing out on a consistent basis, and they do a lot of stalling, a lot of basic stuff here, and go arounds. Take a couple of minutes just to lock up, stalling, and getting some side headlocks, shoulder tackles, and such by DiBiase. DiBiase working over the arm of his opponent pretty consistently. Valiant gets taken down with some side headlocks and some near falls along the way. Valiant's on the outside along with Albano conversing over what the right move to do is. Valiant trying to keep the match more of a brawl, and DiBiase trying to keep it technical. Punch kick. Basic offense here. DiBiase sent to the outside to the floor and trying to keep things going in their directive. Break up, but finally, as mentioned, the time limit draw. Albano gets spun around with a kick and a couple of drop kicks along the way. And again, the desire by DiBiase to return to being the North American champion, a pretty big deal here. Fred Blassie comes back in a powder blue suit. He is leading along a man to do a handicap match, and that is, of course, the Russian, Nikolai Volkov. Volkov has done handicap matches before. Steve King and Johnny Rivera, handicap match 551. Pinning King after hoisting him up in the gorilla press and dropping him across the knee. Vince McMahon interviews Freddie Blassie and Volkov at ringside. Blassie said Bruno Sammartino and Bob Backlund are afraid of Volkov, and Volkov cuts a Russian promo and demonstrates his strength by crushing two pre-broken, although legitimate-looking apples along the way here. Punch kick, very basic moves by Volkov. Not exactly going to see a lot going on in that direction that's going to surprise anybody, but at the same time, even tossing one of the enhancement talents, I believe Rivera over the top rope, and he certainly, along with King, trying to go after Volkov, and they launch into, as mentioned, the Russian promo. They also launch into, as mentioned, a pretty aggressive run here. Then we go to a tag team match up here next. That match happens to be the team of Tito Santana and Pete Sanchez defeating Johnny Roz and Frankie Rodriguez 456 when Santana pins Rodriguez flying body press. I'm not quite sure where that goes. Maybe they hadn't found a true individual for Santana to go after, but Rodriguez, I don't know that I would say newcomer, but not a guy that's worth writing home about. Hip tosses and such there. Rod's, of course, the trainer for many Hall of Fame talents, but breaking things down. Cuts him down, and Santana comes into the ring. Santana is a guy that eventually becomes tag team champion with Ivan Putski. That comes in 1980, but they're trying to find something for him to do. He, as mentioned, Santana hits a win with the flying body press, and that's pretty aggressive, assertive there. Then we go to the next in the series of matches, this being the North American champion Pat Patterson with the Grand Wizard, defeating SD Jones 631 with a Boston Crab. And Patterson, somewhere along the way, had picked up the North American Championship. Patterson, a lot of punching, going right at the man, choking, and all that. Jones, who has been a perennial guy over about the last 8 to 10 years in the organization, eventually sends Patterson back and chokes him out on the ropes, and super basic stuff, nothing too complex. But Jones bounces his man around, Patterson around, even getting a spinning tail hold among other things. Takes him down, monkey flip, modified monkey flip, and eventually the Boston Crab by Patterson. Patterson winning with the Boston Crab, which is a weird move for a guy to win with here. Of course, Rick Martel would win as a heel with it years later, 89, 90. But interesting. Swede Hansen up next, managed by Classy Freddie Blassie. Hansen abusive to children and other horrible things. But I don't know if that's known here. But anyway, he gets run out of town eventually in real life. But anyhow, we kind of run things forward, run things through, and drops some knees and hits an inverted pile driver along the way. And then we close out on that basis. Hansen getting a victory. We'll be back with more right after this.